This is an examination of Robert Eggers' The Witch from 2015. The film is pretty unique in the way that it parodies the Puritan mentality of the characters within the style of the film itself and the way that it tells the story. And the central event of the story is kind of a visual representation of a sort of oral folk tale passed down from generation to generation, shaped by Puritan belief. So we sometimes see things not as they actually occur, but as the Puritan mindset interprets them. In order to set this up, let's first take a look at this opening shot, this medium close shot of Thomasin, the main character, listening passively as her father talks over the image. He's saying the words that will result in the family being banished, led out of the community, isolated in the wilderness, where sexual repression will lead to the downfall of the main character here. This shot is echoed a little bit later in the film, starts a medium close-up and then close shot and then moves a little bit closer to her. But the same general shot here as Thomasin tries to speak the words of a prayer according to this strict Puritan logic. She speaks in a strange regimented way. The Puritan logic of her father is being instilled in her. And this is paralleled again near the end of the film. We have this medium close shot as Thomasin is becoming a witch. So the content here contrasts sharply with shot 2. But shot 2 and shot 3, that transition, that contrast is all the result of shot 1. The father's words, actions, the pride of the father, and his strict Puritan ideology and how that leads to the downfall of his family. This is really an indictment of Puritan culture. But the central event of the story, which is not shown and is not really even suggested in a way that's obvious, is an incestuous act between Caleb and her brother, or Caleb and his sister Thomasin, the main character. And the puritanical camera is going to kind of shield us from the uncomfortable reality that sexual repression is leading to this incestuous relationship. So the incestuous act that occurs in the woods in the middle of the film is not shown to us or even suggested in a way that we can make sense of it. Instead, we have this kind of monstrous presentation of feminine sexuality. Thomasin is shown in the woods, and then the film shows her running out of the woods, and Caleb runs into the woods and apparently has this bizarre encounter with a witch. We should really question the veracity of what we're seeing here, though. The witch operates almost like the serpent in the book of Genesis. It's a narrative tool that embodies human evil, or even functions as a scapegoat for human evil. So Caleb seems entirely the victim of this monstrous supernatural feminine presence in the woods, which is kind of the result of Puritan superstition. And so then we have that cut, and then when we come back, the very next shot is Thomasin looking stunned. She's the one who finds Caleb, and then he's now seems to be possessed after this encounter with the witch in the woods. If at this point we still find it hard to make the jump to an incestuous act occurring in the woods, consider this earlier scene where Caleb is looking at his sister's cleavage and then looks away quickly. And then we have this very strange piece of dialogue here where the sister says that she hasn't had apples in a long time, wishes she had had an apple, and then takes a bite out of his head as if he were an apple. Seems innocuous at the time until we get this later scene after Caleb has been quote-unquote possessed. His father pries into his mouth, and then we build up a lot of suspense and delay the reveal of this detail. When we finally see what is in Caleb's mouth, we realize that it's an apple. So this links, this is the possession of the witch with the apple links to that earlier conversation with Thomasin. And really this kind of supernatural interpretation of the events is the result of a Puritan culture that is unable to examine an issue honestly. It's an interesting way that the film kind of mirrors the mentality of the characters in order to critique that mindset and that culture.